they're making the kids trans against their will, but like they are.
Yeah.
I can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth.
I know!
Yeah, Nazis are pretty f***ing gay.
Yeah.
Lady in the Trans podcast. Where we believe in science. We don't believe in God. Only science. Science will solve all the problems. That's the trans agenda.
Trans people in science gonna save the day.
Solve the problems with us. With science. Science, bitch.
Science and my trans agenda, I'm returning trans.
Keep rolling, what?
I think it's good to start with like something silly as we dive into an emergency broadcast of the Lady in the Trans podcast. What is going on?
I ask myself that every day, what the fuck is going on?
What the fuck is going on? I'm a lady named Chloe.
And I'm a lady named Laura.
And we have some fucking about breaking news, shocking discoveries, realizations as more of the Schmepschkeen files. The
Steinep.
The something. The files.
The files.
We got some more files.
The files of the files.
And I've been seeing posts for like a couple of days straight. And I have been making some connections, and I believe you have as well. And I think the whole world and the whole community is making some connections. And I realized basically all of the transphobic rhetoric was basically created by these schmelites.
Censorship is it's so
Schmishmorshmen.
shush.
You get a schmishmorsman?
Censorship is so stupid.
I agree, but I don't know who to trust. And I feel like all the platforms and all the algorithms and all the everything are going to be trying to suppress actual information. So I'm going to just be super cautious as we talk about this. But essentially, okay, I want to give a little preamble before I do this, because this email made me realize, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but this email made me realize that all of the rhetoric that the right has been doing about doctors who are just like throwing kids transgender medicines and like not checking to verify that they're actually trans and trying to make them trans as early as possible, all is actually happening. Step one is have a fetish for trans people. Step two is start making trans people out of the children you're trafficking. Step three is realize the ones that you're not going to unalive are one day going to grow up and potentially tell their stories. So you have to figure out a way to make people not believe them. So you start to spread anti-trans rhetoric saying that we are crazy. When those people do grow up and they do tell their story and they say, hey, I was made trans against my will when I was a child, you get, on the one hand, a bunch of right-wingers who are like, see, we told you, it's all real. And then you get a bunch of trans people being like, how dare you, this is transphobic. And then that person is forced to only hang out with the right-wingers who do not have their best interests at heart and potentially continue this horrible cycle going, and they continue to just get away with it. I don't know how long this has been happening, probably thousands of years, probably like, because we did the episode recently on, indigenous
cultures,
variations.
trans
We
people
talked
in
about
history.
the Kochek,
Yes.
which were little boys who were transed against their will.
Yeah.
And realized like, oh, so maybe there is some validity to this. And then we also did the episode on transmaxing, which is this subculture of the groypers who are finding young, impressionable boys on the internet and convincing them, hey, you gotta transition as soon as possible.
And it's now just coming out that Epstein was connected to 4chan, which is where the incel culture is prevalent on the internet.
And it's coming out that he was running the groypers. He started the groypers. So he literally created the transmaxer movement.
Yeah.
So the email that clinched this all that started connecting all these pieces for me to realize that literally all transphobia is directly from the minds of pedos. I'm going to read this to you.
Okay.
This is from a man named Robert Trivers.
Okay.
Robert Trivers is a Harvard-trained evolutionary biologist. Jeffrey has an office on Harvard's campus.
Okay.
Which you may also remember is where Mark Zuckerberg went to college.
Yeah.
These people are all connected.
They are. It's insane.
So Robert Trivers was paid $40,000 by Jeffrey Schmeckschmeen to research transsexuality.
Okay.
He emailed on December 17th, 2018. This email is his research plan. To call it a research plan is embarrassing at best. Harvard should be ashamed. If this is the level of research that they're turning out and they're experts, we should never listen to anything Harvard says ever again. And we should never take anything seriously that Harvard ever says. This is not only not a plan, it is not anything.
What is it?
So the subject line of this email is trans. Just the single word trans. It starts out, it is very simple. I will compare male to female with female to male. With greater molecular control over development, we are increasingly capable of producing novel phenotypes, more feminine men, by blocking testosterone receptors or castration, and at the same time increasing estrogen production. The one blocks male features, the second encourages female features. More masculine women, heavy testosterone dosage, incredible external effects, heavily bearded men, you would never guess they had a female bone in their body. Male to female is 4 times more frequent than female to male. Male to female is attractive. He is a woman with a cock, so that if your fantasy is to suck a man's dick, otherwise you are completely heterosexual, it would be much nicer if the rest of the organism is female.
Is this a real?
This is the direct text of the email that is proposing his research plan.
Can I just say, how many times have I said a lot of these like DL men that sleep with trans women, they're not attracted to the trans woman or women at all a lot of the time. They want to fuck a dude and they feel less weird about it if there's a dick involved, but it's attached to a hot girl. I'm telling you.
He's literally spelling that out.
If men would just go bang each other and leave us alone,
but, like as he keeps going, you might also come to the conclusion that he's just gay. So he says, if your fantasy is to suck a man's dick, otherwise you're completely heterosexual, it would be much nicer if the rest of the organism is female. Then you get the best of both worlds. So many transsexual women are very attractive and easily make money, which in turn promotes their prostitution, since they have to pay hefty fees for injections every week, but they are sexually happy. Once you have reached manhood, even castration does not prevent the sensation of orgasm. This whole thing is just fetish. This is literally just a guy being like, I watch a lot of trans porn and I'm going to research that.
Oh my God.
And I'm going to research that. I also hooked up with a trans prostitute the other day and I was shocked because she had an orgasm. It was crazy. He says, once you've reached manhood, even castration does not prevent the sensation of orgasm. Contrast the poor female to male versions. They are unhappy and lonely. They are men with mum-pums, the worst of both worlds.
With what now?
Mum-pums.
Mum-pums?
That's what he's calling the vagina. A mum-pum.
Is this like a weird-ass British dude?
I don't know. No, he seems to be American.
Who the fuck says mum-pums?
He's just an old white dude. Like, right now, today, he's 82 years old. So when he sent this email, he was 74 years old.
He came out the womb talking in a transatlantic accent. That's who the fuck says mum-pums?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. They are men with mum-pums, the worst of both worlds. If you like smelly masculine men, you want that hard cock that comes with the show. You do not want one of nature's more complex and variable structures, the pum-pum.
This guy is just obsessed with dick.
He's literally obsessed with dick. And he's described, so listen to the way he describes. He won't even say the word vagina. He'll say cock, but he can't say vagina.
Because it disgusts him.
He calls it a pum-pum or a mum-pum or whatever. He used 2 different versions of it. And he literally says, if you like smelly masculine men, you want the hard cock that comes with the show. You do not want one of nature's more complex and variable structures, the pum-pum, that is an acquired taste, and not with a man.
So the pum-pum is the cooch?
Yes. He's saying a pom-pom is one of nature's more complex and variable structures and is an acquired taste. He's saying, I don't like vagina. I like cock. He's literally saying one of these is sexually desirable and one of them is not. And as we all know, the sexy one is the dick.
This is the thing. All of these chasers that are obsessed with bottoming for trans girls, because most trans women don't like to top. Some of them do. Some of them totally do.
Totally is a thing.
Good for them and everything, but like it's very rare. This fantasy is entirely because he wants to be with a man. He doesn't want to admit that to himself.
Yeah.
So he's turned trans women into a fetish because they have dicks. And that's the closest he can get to banging a dude without actually doing it.
100%. That's exactly what's happening here.
Oh my God.
So he continues. There's 2 more little mini paragraphs in this email.
I don't know if I can take any more paragraphs of this shit. What the fuck?
Here we go. There are hundreds of female trans videos and websites. I have never seen a male one.
Wait, what?
He basically said, I watch hundreds of trans women porn videos, and I've never seen a trans man porn video.
Their fucking Lord and Savior, what's his name?
Buck Angel.
He's like the fucking porno god of the trans community, and he's right wing. What do you mean you've never seen one of the guys do it? Like, what?
So what he's literally...
That's how I know about Buck Angels, from his porn.
Yeah, so he's literally saying, I intentionally search for trans woman porn, and I've just never looked for trans man porn. Because if you literally just type trans man into any porn search engine, you're going to find it.
You're going to find it.
He's just literally saying, I've never even looked, because he's never seen one. He's just never even seen it. So it must not exist, is what he's saying.
This is probably the only time he's searched for women in porn, is when it's trans girls.
Probably.
I guarantee half of his fucking shit is just a bunch of cis dudes banging it out. Like,
it's guaranteed.
What
Because
the
if you like
fuck?
smelly masculine men, you want that hard cock that comes with the show.
That's insane. Just go bang a cis dude. Like,
Literally.
the mental gymnastics.
Literally.
We're in this fucking shithole because men are in the closet about everything. They're pedophiles. They're fucking gay. They're like whatever they fucking are.
Yeah.
We are in this
Yeah.
position because
If you weren't terrified of
white
being gay,
cis men are weird, weak motherfuckers, and they won't come out of the closet.
so here's the last line. This is really when shit started to click into place for me. He says, by the way, we are now pushing intervention earlier. So you notice your 3-year-old son has trans tendencies, so now you intervene with hormones. I'd be frightened to do that, but who knows? He's saying we are pushing doctors to recommend hormones for 3-year-olds. 3-year-olds, which is insane. No 3-year-old is supposed to be having hormones.
No.
Puberty starts at like 10 earliest, right?
3-year-olds can't even form a full conscious thought.
But this guy is emailing Jeffrey Merher and saying, by the way, we are recommending doctors, maybe our specific doctors, to recommend hormone therapy for 3-year-olds. And, you know, it was only 14 years before
And
this.
they were doing this with their victims.
Yes.
For all of the sick fucks
Yes.
that like children and also want them to be trans sick fucks.
They're experimenting on these kids. And these
You're gonna
people
put a
these people are in good with like the academics. Mm-hmm. They have offices on all the college campuses. They know all the future doctors. They know all the current doctors. They're influencing policy. They're influencing what doctors are doing.
I really believe a lot of them projecting onto the trans community like, oh, trans people are the ones that are, you know, trying to force these things on kids. Because this is all projection, right? They're
100%.
They're projecting this onto the trans community to make the trans community look sick and crazy.
Yes.
So no one's paying attention to what they're doing. Also, if all of the trans people are dead or none of them come out, there are no trans people to protect these children.
Yeah.
Because no actual trans person would ever be like,
Never
yeah,
in a
this
million
3-year-old
years.
should go on hormones.
Never in a million
Never in. I don't know
years.
a single trans. Even the worst of trans people I know personally would never suggest a 3-year-old take hormones. You're putting a 3-year-old through a puberty they would go through 10 years later.
Yeah, that's what blockers were invented for, was to prevent
Prevent it from happening.
Because the 3-year-old going through puberty would be horrible for that child.
And have you noticed their main focus is puberty blockers and not hormone replacement therapy? whenever they are talking about kids transitioning, and they're
But they
talking about-
always talk about blockers as if it
as
is
if they
hormone
are,
replacement
exactly,
therapy.
because they don't want these trans kids that actually need it when they're like 14 years old to get their blockers. They want the trans community gone.
They
and
want actual trans people to look like freaks so that their experimental trans people will be the only ones who pass.
Yes,
So
yeah.
that they can continue on this weird little charade that they're doing.
Oh, this is so chaotic too, because the Groiper shit and the transmaxing thing.
Yeah. Check out our episode on transmaxing, by
Yes.
the way, if you don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
Also,
But
it is coming
it's
out that
Jeffrey
Epstein
Schmershmer. Yeah.
was behind 4chan.
Yeah.
Which is where the Groiper shit, that's where transmaxing comes
he
from.
started the Groipers. And do you know who else did? Elon Schmusk.
Yes.
So when I read this, and I realized that this Harvard-trained academic was emailing Schmepschmim, was talking about how they were all starting to recommend doctors to trans kids against their will way too early, I started to look into all of the people, the most prominent figures who have been very loud in the anti-trans movement. And I started to realize that a whole lot of them have connections to Schmeshmi. This ties into J.K. Rowling. There's another email that I read. Someone was like reaching out to Epstein and was like, hey, can you introduce me to J.K. Rowling? I really think I'd like to meet her. You told me that there was an email where Fergie
emailed a list of influential mothers, and J.K. Rowling was on that list.
Yeah.
Which
I
makes
wonder,
me
and that was in 2009.
2009, May of 2009.
If he was able to introduce J.K. Rowling to somebody and also somebody else had put her on a list of influential mothers, and all of a sudden JKR takes this weird turn and starts being super transphobic, where was she getting her marching orders? Where was she getting that information from?
It makes you wonder.
The only people who were even studying this shit were the fucking pedos.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
I feel crazy.
I feel
this
like I'm
is
taking crazy pills.
The most I've ever felt like a conspiracy theorist while also being 100% sure that I'm right about this.
I feel like we have the like girl version of Alex Jones show right now. Like that's how I feel.
Isn't that
Lately,
kind of what
that's-
you said you wanted us to be when we were originally
I wanted
starting?
our title to be info whores, but you were like, it's not professional enough for me. And I'm like, that's fair. It's more my vibe. But
Yeah. I like the name. I would like to be known as like people who spread true information and not just conspiracies. Although right now we're definitely spreading conspiracies that are also heavily based in fact because I looked up my fucking facts.
yes. And this is the thing. Some of these are us putting ideas together of what this might be based on common fucking sense. J.K. Rowling has been going after the trans community a lot since around that email in 2018. I'd say that's around.
She officially came out and started pushing hard for it in 2020.
Yeah, the timelines
during the pandemic.
The timelines really match up, and the fact that she is in these emails so much, I feel like there's a connection there.
And also, in the year 2000, J.K. Rowling said that one of her favorite books of all time is Lolita, because she described it as a great and tragic love story, which is such a fucking misread of that book, which is about a literal pedophile fetishizing a 12-year-old girl and thinking he's in love with her.
Yeah.
And if you read that book and you're like, a great and tragic love story, like
You're a
fucking
Yeah.
You're a fucking pedophile.
And this is all alleged because we can't 100% prove that, but based on the things we are connecting, that's what it's looking like. I wouldn't be surprised if some shit comes out about J.K. Rowling being a fucking
Yeah.
fucking bitch.
So
That
then
makes me mad.
So then I also started looking into some of the most prominent anti-trans organizations that exist. I specifically looked up, because this is one person I remembered reading a bunch of stuff about. Her name is Jamie Reed.
Okay.
She was one of the founders of the LGB Courage Coalition. Notice there's no T.
Yeah.
The LGB
Is this out of the UK?
Courage Coalition. No,
No.
this is out of here.
There's one in the UK too. Anyways.
Yes, there's many of these. Jamie Reed is someone who was heavily featured in a New York Times podcast called The Protocol, which is about the protocol for recommending hormone replacement therapy, just the general process for medically intervening in trans kids. It's like a 6-part New York Times thing that came out after they switched to the new person who's been pushing heavy on anti-trans rhetoric.
Okay.
Because New York Times has been like deeply anti-trans for a long time.
Yes.
I didn't specifically look into whether the owner of the New York Times has connections to Schmurschmer, but I'm pretty sure does. Jamie Reed is the whistleblower who worked at a healthcare clinic. She was not a doctor. She was not a researcher. She was not a medical professional of any kind. She literally worked in the office, like taking in the intake forms
Okay.
and like doing data entry and shit. And she decided that she didn't think that the recommendations for the children, for the clients, was the best advice for them. She is basically one of the only experts that this New York Times podcast cites as their evidence that transgender medicine is getting out of control. So she is one of the founders of the LGBT Courage Coalition, along with an alumni of Columbia University, which is one of the universities that Schmurschmer used to use as a promise to entice children to try to like come to his island, right? To like try to traffic them. He would say, look, if you come with me, I promise you, you will be admitted to Columbia. I can get you in. I know somebody there.
Wow.
I know everybody at Columbia. I know the researchers. I know the dean. I can get you in. If you do this for me, you're in. No worries. Like that was his thing. I find it interesting that random person from Columbia is the other co-founder of the LGBT Courage Coalition with this whistleblower. And you know who else founded it? Buck Angel, one of the other founders of this fucking coalition. Their whole thing, the other people on there are detransitioners who thought they were trans men and now they're like detrans women.
And they needed their token trans person to, and
Yeah.
it was Buck Angel.
Of course it was.
Fucking dumb motherfucker.
Of course it was. And they advocate for no hormones for anyone until they're 25.
And Buck Angel started transitioning when he was young, right?
Yeah, the shit is so wild. And I started to really just notice that like
all of the connections.
all the connections, and that all of the people, because like at a certain point when Jeffrey was arrested, right? And a bunch of his closest connections like started to pretend they didn't know him.
Yeah.
But the people who continued emailing him up until like the day of his death were all the academics from all the Ivy League universities. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense actually, because the academics at the universities are not only deciding what studies to publish, what studies to do, what information to sell, what recommendations to give to doctors. All the people who are going to be like in charge of the world all come through there. They also are working constantly with very, very, very young people or underage people who they're recruiting to come to the schools. So they have a steady flow of very young people, of
Yep.
children.
And as long as they're working with these people to point the finger at the trans community and these people are doing this evil thing, no one's paying attention to what they're doing over here.
Yeah, the Ivy League universities are like pedo institutions. And I think I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I think everything, every institution everywhere is just run by pedos.
That's how I've been starting to feel lately too.
And
with our
like, I
episodes.
feel, that feels crazy. That feels crazy to
It
say.
feels fucking insane.
But like,
But also, I wouldn't put it past any of them. Our world is run by pedos.
yeah, 10 years ago, I thought Pizzagate was insane. And now there's like 500 emails where they're all like, thank you for the pizza last night. Ooh. Like, so, like.
And it's so funny, all of the QAnon people, all of the MAGA QAnon people
they
are
all
dead silent.
Yeah, they got nothing to say all of a
Because
sudden.
they're all pedophiles too.
Yeah, because they were just projecting this whole time.
Yeah, so a lot of the pedophile hunter, like celebrities and people that are obsessed with hunting down pedophiles, they're pedophiles themselves. Look at Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
I think we should make this a multi-part series where we really deep dive.
On just all the people who are
Yeah.
secret pedos
Yeah.
who are pushing the anti-trans shit.
Yeah, because anybody who's watching, this was kind of a last-minute decision we decided to do. A lot of files have dropped.
Yeah.
What
people
was
have
it,
been
like
combing through
3
it.
million different documents were dropped?
So stuff's just gonna keep coming out.
Yeah.
But like to suddenly see that like J.K. Rowling's in there, several other prominent anti-trans people are in there.
Yeah.
Also, they're all bragging about making kids trans against their will.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, it's all fucking connected.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels so impossible to talk about too, because like it feels like you're leaning into the anti-trans rhetoric and being like, they're making the kids trans against their will, but like they are.
But that narrative, they pointed the finger at the trans community about that because the trans community isn't doing that.
No, it's the fucking pedo elites.
Yeah.
I can't believe those words are coming out of my mouth.
I know. I say this every day, bitch. I feel like a fucking boomer Republican that's losing my fucking mind right now.
I'm
like constantly, they're trying to take our guns and the pedophiles. I sound like an old man who's a fucking Republican fucking 10 years ago.
Oh, the turntables.
Literally.
And it's like, no, they were telling the truth. They were just trying to point the finger at everybody but them and the actual guilty people.
And this is the thing, Democrats are also involved in this. Bill Clinton's all over that shit.
Absolutely.
But leftists don't give a fuck about that shit.
They were pointing their finger at actual guilty people and then just not pointing their finger at the ones that they liked.
And that's why they're all dead silent now, because they're dead silent because they didn't actually care about that. They're a bunch of pedophiles, and as long as it's the same thing with Epstein and them. Point the finger at someone else so no one's paying attention to what you're doing.
Yeah. And I swear that if I ever have imposter syndrome again about my intelligence, just remind me that this Robert Trivers guy was paid $40,000 to do a study on trans people, and his study proposal was, I'm going to watch a lot of porn. I'm going to watch a bunch of trans porn, and I'm just going to decide based on that whether or not I think they're fuckable or not. And then I'm going to report back to you, and then you can give hormones to babies.
Listen, I tell bitches all the time, because girls do this thing where they second guess themselves, and I'm like, men are mediocre and stupid, and they are running everything.
Yeah.
Like, I tell them all the time, I'm like, think of the most, like, disgusting, mediocre man that's ever come up to you and hit on you, had the audacity to do that, and just did it with such confidence, like you were gonna say yes. Have the confidence of that fucking loser every day. Every woman should do that. We will take the shit back if we all do that.
It's good, yeah. It's good advice. Anyway, we'll
wrap it up, but let's do multiple parts to this. I want to look into this.
We'll look into more shit. There's certainly more stuff that's going to come out. We'll keep doing emergency episodes as we can. Laura's gone a lot, so we
I'm working on
a lot of our stuff. But when we can, we want to talk about timely shit.
And also, which reminds me, we're going to be launching a Patreon in a few months.
Oh, that's true.
Be checking for it, because that will help us to pay our bills doing this instead, so I don't have to be out of town every single month.
If y'all have any specific type of content that you'd like to see from us on a Patreon, you can leave that in the comments, or you can email us, ladyandthetranspodcast@gmail.com. Anybody want to just like watch us play Magic? I don't know. That was one idea we had.
Yeah, us playing Magic, hanging out, chatting.
Yeah.
I thought about like painting more and selling some of my art on there.
Yeah.
You could see some of my paintings and maybe buy it if you want.
More just like kind of freestyle conversations where we just kind of ramble about shit.
Yeah.
Less research based and
more about
like,
just us as people.
Just whatever the fuck we'd end up talking about, which is always
always all over the place. We're both of us are neurodivergent, so it's chaotic.
Facts. But yeah. Thanks for listening. I hope you learned something and maybe feel better about yourself, because idiots are getting $40,000 research grants to watch porn. Who says we can't take over?
They're incompetent.
Yeah. This has been real.
It's been real.
I guess. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Lady and the Trans Podcast. Where we believe in science. We don't believe in God. Only science.